Welcome to my Grey Hack Guide. In this episode we're going to set up a chat server. So let's get started by opening a terminal and going to the shop in the browser. In the shop we're going to grab a basic server. I recommend that you use a rented server for your chat and not your home computer, because opening ports on your home computer will enable other players to hack into your computer and mess with your stuff. You can of course secure your computer, but it's not advised. Then we're going to go into the mail and use the credentials for the rented server. Servers are, you only pay for the server once at the moment. The rent has not been implemented yet. Let's open that terminal. And what we're going to do is we're going to SSH in here. So we just do root and the password. Don't want that space. And the IP. Like so. So now we have the server, and we're going to run the chat service on. As you can see, the orange bar indicates that we are now on another computer than our home computer. Otherwise there is no bar. And in here we're going to open a browser. As you can see, the browser also has an orange bar, which indicates that it's connected to this computer. So if we download things from this browser, it's going to be put on this computer rather than our home system. So we're going to shop. Again, that's another shop. That's the university website. That's a shop. And then we scroll down to the chat server. So we're going to download that. We'll wait for that to finish. We don't need this anymore. And we're going to, since we downloaded it into the user, well, it's always downloaded into the users folder that is running the browser, and we ran it as root, so therefore the file can be found in the root folder, as you can see here, chat server. And we just run chat server, and it's going to tell us how to set up the server. One of the things we'll need to do is we're going to need to add the port forward. If we check the IP, with a scanning tool, we're going to see that there is now a chat server service open on port 6667. This is not routed though, and or port forwarded as it's also called. And in order for us to access the server or service from outside the network, it will have to be routed in the router configuration page. And that's this page right here, which you access by just following the instructions right here. Type browser exe. Yeah, you can just type this. Just copy this and paste that in browser. Did I not type that correct? Oh yeah, not with that, like so. As you can see, now it's the same page. We'll close one of them. And we need to add an entry. As you can see in here, the internal port on the computer is this port right here. We're going to add that to internal. The computer is this computer right here. You can also see it's always the 192.68.0.2, but in the upcoming updates, that's going to change. So if you want to know what computer it is, you just type ifconfig, and it's going to tell you your IP address and your LAN address, and it's the LAN address you need to put here. Then we're going to select the external port. You can type whatever port you like, but this is the default one, and you just need to make sure you type the correct one when you add it in the chat later, which I will show. We'll save that. And now if we check again on the IP, you can see that it's now routed, which means that it can be accessed from outside the network. The next thing we need to do is, warning, open this file right here to configure the chat channel. So we'll do that. You can just copy this and just type notepad and then the path to the file, and it's going to open the file. Here you can select what you want the channel to be called. Let's go with hack channel. Is public, is false. This is kind of like a whitelist option. So if it's false, then all the users that are going to be able to access the chat need to be added down here. We just add them by typing like this, and you put the email addresses of the players you wish to add to your chat. Player 1. This is of course just an example. I don't know what the player email addresses are, but you just put them in here like this, and that's going to act as a whitelist, so only the allowed users will be able to access the chat. If we go into bank real quick, I can show you my email. So you have my email right here, and that would be one of the emails you put in here, like this. Okay, if we put it to true, then it's going to allow all users to either have the IP or have the invite link to join. Let's put it to true so anyone can join this channel. Then you have the admin, and that's your nickname or username in the chat. So up here in the chat, I have already done some testing on another server, so that's why this shows up here. It's also called hack channel, which might be confusing. Maybe we should change that. Let's do hack chat. That's perfect. We could even make it like that. Okay, so you can see here my username in the chat is hack, so that's what I'm going to put as the admin, like that. And I think we're ready to save this. Let's save it. And that saved the config. Next up, we're going to go back into the router configuration, because we're going to secure the server, and the way we're going to do that is we're going to remove the SSH port. So since you're running a rented server like this, it will become a target that other players can try to hack, and therefore we want to make it as secure as possible. I'm going to show you the same thing I showed in the last video, which is how to remove the SSH port. If you do this, you will not be able to access the server later, and you cannot edit the config file, which we just edited. So keep that in mind if you remove the SSH. We're going to do it, so remove the port forward. And if we now check on the IP, you can see that the routed is gone. It only says open, so it cannot be accessed from outside the network, but we can make it even more secure by going into server, and in here we have an SSHD. If we do SSHD stop, then it's going to stop the service on the computer entirely, so it's not even accessible from inside the network now. And to make it even more secure, we can remove it, because if you type SSHD start, it's possible to start it again. Usually that will not be possible, but to make the server extra secure, you can do this. So let's just remove it. And that's one part of the security done. Another part, which I showed in the last video, is chmodding. And we're going to use the recursive option, which means that it's going to chmod the entire server. I talked in detail about this in my last video, if you're interested. So now we have chmodded the entire computer, and it's going to be much harder to break into. We also close the SSH, which means that we will not be able to get into the server easily either. As the last part of the recommended steps for securing, I would suggest you use a brute force exploit script on the server. So we're going to do select the port, and we need to do another scan actually. So just scan the, you will need a script for this. You can, for example, use the shellweb script. Yeah, maybe I should show that with the shellweb script instead. Let's do shellweb. On port 667. The shellweb script was made in episode 16, and you can find a link to that video in the description. You can also buy the shellweb script from the Bitcoin shop in multiplayer. Okay, so as you can see, I was able to hack into the server as guest, but I do not have the root password, and I cannot get the root password easily. I can't use the commands either because I chmodded the computer, but the fact that this server has guest access is, or guest shell, is a vulnerability that is well, you don't really want that on your server. So I would recommend you try to find a better chat server version if this happens to you. You can see here as well that my other scanner script shows that there's one shell and two computer objects on here, and you want there to be as few things as possible. But main takeaway is you can just run this shell web script that I showed how to make in episode 16, and if shell web can't get in, then it's somewhat secure. If you want to be even more secure, then you're going to have to use another script that checks all possible ways inside. It's going to be fairly secure. Like you can see, I can't use any of the commands in here. I can't see anything in here, so it's still going to be difficult to hack this server, even if you use my shell web script. Yeah. Okay, so we have secured the server somewhat, and we have set up the config. Now the last part is to see if it all works, and we open the path for that. Then we're going to open the guild panel. Well, you don't really need to. Let's just do this part first. So we're just going to click on add new channel, and then we're going to use the IP, and the port we selected as the external port. Like I said, you can select another one, but we chose this one, and we just add that to the channel. And now you can see below the test channels I made before that it says hack chat. This is the chat we just made. We can go in here and we can type things, and we can invite other players in here and have conversations. Then if you do once you have set up a chat, you can also turn it into a guild chat, and you do that over here, open guild panel, and in the main, let's see here, oh, okay, we need to leave this. Yes, that was the old test channel I played with. Okay, unfortunately there's a bug at the moment, so if you create more than one channel, then it's gonna mess up the system a little bit. So we're gonna try to exit, but I don't think it's gonna work. Okay, so if you restart it, it works. So we're going to register the new chat we made, the hack chat. Guild registered successfully, and now we have a guild chat or guild channel. And what you can do in here is you can manage your guild members. You can also use this invite link. So just copy that, and let's open the hack chat and type the invite link. So this would be the invite link, and other players can use that link. Maybe I should exit again. Okay, let's exit. Yeah. In here you see join. We can use or other players that you give the link to can use the join option down here. But since I exited or deleted the guild, it doesn't exist anymore. So we have to register the guild again. And now it exists again. I think when you exit the guild and you're the only member, or if you're the admin perhaps, then it's going to remove it. But now we have created it again, and if somebody uses this new invitation link that was created, not the old one, then they will be able to join. Some other things, so active missions, bank access, they don't work yet, but you can connect to the guild channel from here, and you can of course also leave the guild. there's also a connect to mainframe option in here. You set that up with the configuration credential settings. And what this does is it creates an account on the server. So you just pick a password for your user, create account, and it's going to create an account on the on the chat server computer. In order to do this, you will have to have the SSH server still running though, because it's going to use SSH to connect to the computer. So if we try to connect to mainframe, it's going to say can't connect, 422 not found. So if you want to use that option, then you will have to keep the SSH open and secure the server in some other ways. So what's those options? The last thing is you can add roles. So we can add for example, an admin role. And we just select what kind of permissions they have. Let's say that they can edit roles. We'll just add that permission, and then we add a role. Role added successfully, and then you can go into members, and you can add roles to the members and kick the users from the guild. Since I'm the administrator, I cannot add roles, but you will be able to add roles to other users. You can also edit the roles. Yeah. So this is how you set up a guild chat and how you create a server for it. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one.